Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Again. Thank you for joining me today. Hi, everybody in the ethers, in everywhere. Whether you're here, breathing spirit in and out, or whether you're far away, but joining us nonetheless, I am grateful for you, grateful for this breath. This breath that is of the one that is all there is. That inspiration of all that is, all that inspiration is what I know to be spirit, is what I know to be God, is what I know to be source. And that source fills me to the brim and over the top whenever I ask. And so I ask. And I know that because I am of that, all I'm asking is to become aware of it. Because it's always there. I am of it, just as we all are of that source. We are of that breath. Spirit breathing in and out, matter, non-matter. It all matters. It's all good. On this commencement, this eve of Christmas, when it can be easy to get caught up in the busy and the sometimes anxiety, and let's not go there. Breathing back from that center place is an important practice. Knowing, too, that that breath is good, that source is good. We call forth good, and good comes. How are you today, folks? Fabulous? I call fabulous, and I know fabulous comes. So today, on this eve of more fabulosity, joy, silliness, love, warmth, peace throughout the world, let us be that well of overflowing goodness that the world needs. Let us overflow into this world with these good things. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me and you. And so it is.
So what is Christmas, really? You know, it's the happiest time of the year, right? I'm feeling festive today. Have you noticed? And I know some of you are, and I'm glad. Thank you for joining us. It's a season of magic and sparkles when families come together, arriving from the far-flung corners of the world in sleighs drawn by bell-bedraped horses, along roads of freshly fallen lily-white snow, having the same happy, wonderful Christmas times as in yesteryear, where we all receive the presents we really want from a jolly old elf who delivers them by sliding down and then back up a chimney to a sleigh which is pulled by 8 tiny flying reindeer. And we celebrate a little baby born in a stable in Bethlehem, receiving gifts from 3 wise men known as magi, which gives us the word magic, who follow a moving star, and shepherds who heard angels singing on high, and this child redeems the whole world, brings us all peace and joy forever. For how many of you is that your normal Christmas? Yeah, me neither. Instead, Christmas never lives up to the hype, to the fantasy, to the magical dream, and we get confused and oftentimes ultimately disappointed We're caught up in, am I doing it right? Am I giving the right presents? Do I have the right lights in my house? Do I have the right tree? Do I have the right whatever? Instead, Uncle Ernie is getting handsy with the kids. Aunt Betty is drunk again, saying all sorts of things she shouldn't. Our brother Joe is spending Christmas elsewhere. The tree is either plastic or not perfect. Dad got another 10 handkerchiefs because either no one cares or no one knows what to get him. The kids are running around screaming on a sugar high, breaking the toys we just got them, while Cousin Joni is insisting that the food must be vegan, organic, gluten-free, and non-GMO, or she can't eat any of it. Can you relate to that Christmas a little more? So we get confused by the outer trappings, the appearance of magicality, and eventually we feel sad, depressed, and more separate than ever as this big bright spotlight shines on our life, showing that we don't match the fantasy. Breathe. So oftentimes we just walk through the fantasy each year, or we give up entirely and close off to the season. And yet beneath that fantasy there is a truth, a capital T truth. There is real magic to pay attention to. If we understand that Santa is not a jolly old elf who lives on the North Pole, but is really the representative or the expression of the infinite givingness of the universe, giving to each of us always without limit. The idyllic family vision calls us to a greater expression and experience of deep love and the sense of home and belonging, perhaps more than we've ever received before, but yet we know is true, even if our particular family can't provide it. The birth of the child, the renewing of the sun, reminds us of the ongoing, ever-renewing life and our own sacredness and connection with the One. The gifts remind us of the love, often disguised in other packaging, freely given and received if we will stop evaluating, judging, and having to have things our way. I know none of you ever have to have things your way, but I've met people. You know people like that, right? This time, like all times, asks us to set aside our human intellect's perceptions, the fantasy of how it should be, how we should be, and see beneath the surface to the real magic, the infinite love and givingness, and are always in ongoing oneness with that divine. That is what this season calls us to do. And I threw my talk out of order here. Give me a moment, please. Because that talk downloaded this morning on top of this talk. So we're here to embody Christ consciousness. And when we talk about Christ, it's not the last name of a carpenter who lived a couple thousand years ago, nor is it the status of one special individual. Sister Ilia Delio, this is coming from a Catholic nun, by the way. Sister Ilia Delio says Christ is more than Jesus. Christ is the communion of divine personal love expressed in every created form of reality. Every star, every leaf, every bird, every fish, every tree, every rabbit, and every human person. Everything is Christified because everything expresses divine love incarnate. Take that in for a moment. So embodying Christ consciousness is embodying this divine love in human form, just as a similar idea of Buddha mind is embodying the knowing of our oneness with all and not the name of one special person. So this Christmas story is something we return to again and again, and even though we realize it's fiction made up by a couple of guys a long time ago who tell differing versions that get matched together, like our Christmas carols from the kids, and have lost the symbology of their time and their audience that they were speaking to, there's still something deep and archetypal about this story that calls us back over and over and over and over again to it. The idea of the infinite divine taking human form, of the divine light the divine love made humanly manifest, that speaks to a truth that's deep within us, that recognizes this birth as happening within us. Meister Eckhart, who was a 13th century Christian mystic, said, "We are all meant to be mothers of God. What good is it to me if this eternal birth of the divine Son takes place unceasingly, but does not take place within myself? And what good is it to me if Mary is full of grace, but I am not also full of grace?" This birth is our birth, the birth of ourself. And we are meant to be mothers of God, all of us. We're intended to embody and give birth to this Christ consciousness, the embodiment of divine love in human form. And we all know that this is why this story touches us so deeply, because we do know this. We somewhere in the depths of our soul, the depths of our being, know that this is so. And so it comes around again year after year and reminds us, along with solstice, of the rebirth, the reincarnation of the divine within and as us. You are the Christ child. All of us are the Christ child. Whether we remember it or forget it. Most of us forget it much of the time. That doesn't mean we aren't. There's something that's seeking to be born from the rich darkness of the creative womb of the universe, something that doesn't easily fit into our lives. How many of you have had children? Do they easily fit into your lives? No. Something that is uncomfortable, anybody having given birth, yet calling to be birthed, which is the real magic of this season, the deep magic. So we look again at the story, letting go of the need for it to be factually or literally true, and ask, what is it calling to within my soul? Not my head, my soul, my heart, my beingness. As does all growth, it begins with a call, a request. An angel, which represents high thoughts, asks the creative feminine, which is within each of us, will you give birth to something divine? It's not going to make sense. You haven't known a man yet. The truly divine never makes sense. It's not something that we can figure out. Yes? In this story, the creative mothering aspect gives this beautiful yes response. She says, my soul magnifies the Lord. Say it for yourself. My soul magnifies the infinite. See, that's what we're here to do. We're here to be the infinite in human form, magnifying the nature of the divine in human form. And she goes on to say, my spirit rejoices in God, for he has regarded the meekness of his handmaid. We magnify, we rejoice, we recognize that we are just simply here to give birth. It's a great, sweet, open answer. And so with the birth of all new things, then everything just easily falls into place. The great child Jesus, or Yeshua as he was called actually, is born, and all is good. Or so we're led to believe. That's part of that fantasy. Let's take another look. Kat Armas, who's a Cuban-American theologian, said, and she wrote this shortly after giving birth to her first child, she said, I've often said that the Bible is a book written by men for men. It's no surprise then that the story of the incarnation and its rendering and interpretation thereafter would glide over the messy realities of pregnancy and labor. Indeed, we're told about the politics requiring Joseph to register in his hometown, about the shepherds keeping watch, and about heavenly hosts of angels celebrating. But we hear nothing of the blood, the nakedness, the primal groans, the fear, the strength and power of the human body, the first-time shrieks of new life bursting into the world. And she observes that this may be where we got our first kind of antiseptic views of holiness. Holiness comes with no mess. It's all just perfect. She goes on to say, like so many renderings of the narratives in Scripture, the birth of Jesus has been domesticated and dulled to make it more palatable. But there's something subversively fleshly and carnal about Mary birthing God and her role as an active agent in the messy, material, and immanent. Our creative self, our dark womb self, which is just as sacred as the light self, we'll talk about that tonight more, gives birth not through a nice, orderly, neat, particular process. How many of you have ever given birth to something, whether it's a human child or something new in your life, and you've noticed that it's not, everything just falls in place in nice, neat order? Anybody who's done artistic creation, anybody who's launched a business, anybody who's done anything like that. She goes on to say, this is about Mary, that this matters because a broken, refugee, brown female, naked, stretched, hormonal, marginalized body is how divinity entered this world and where divinity still makes itself known today. Breathe. We all love the new baby. We all love the finished product, the new life. But in order to have that beautiful baby, in order to have a beautiful butterfly, a perfectly content caterpillar, who's going along, life is just fine, it's all in order, just resolving everything, must answer a call and create a dark cocoon around itself, and then resisting the whole way, completely dissolve into a gooey mess until something new is born, and yet even then that new birth has to fight its way out of the cocoon. Whew. Perhaps this is why when we hear the call of Spirit, we say, let me get back to you on that. Maybe later, maybe next year, I'll have some time, I'll be more ready next time around. Jesus kind of talked about that in the parable of the invitation to the wedding feast, where all the proper guests who were invited suddenly got really busy with something else to do instead. And one version even killed off the messengers. We've never done that, but you know people who do stuff like that when they get that high call. Our egos value comfort and certainty over the call to the messiness of new birth. And yet we are called to, as the song said, leave our ewes, leave our rams, leave our sheep, and leave our lambs. To leave our day-to-day comfort and normalcy and follow the call to the place within where something new is seeking to be born. It may be messy. No, it will be messy. It will not be convenient. But there is a Christ consciousness child, an awakening Buddha, a butterfly birthing within each of us. It wants to birth. And eventually we will have to say yes. See, if Mary had said, no thanks. If you remember the story of Moses when he was first called by God, his reply was, no, you don't want me, you want my brother. No thanks, not me. If she had said no, the birth would have found another way. I personally have found that when it comes to dealing with deep callings, resistance is futile. You can put it off for a while, but it comes, and pretty soon you sit there and go, I should have answered that call 3 years ago. So, are you willing to give birth? Are you willing to be a mother of God? Are you willing to embody the Christ consciousness a little or a lot more fully? To view the example of wholeness which Jesus and Buddha and others have embodied and say, yes, I will align more with that life. I will align more with this Christ consciousness, this Buddha mind, this thing that wants to express through me. I don't know how. I can't figure it out. but I trust the divine nature to be magnified through my soul. And I rejoice in the divine, expressing through and as me. Will you say, I am willing to live as wholeness and love? And this is our spiritual practice this week, to simply say yes to the divinity that is seeking to be born through and as you. I'm going to close with a quote. This is a bit of a lengthy quote, so you guys can just relax and enjoy your coffee. Comes also from Sister Elia Delio. She says, Christ is more than Jesus alone. Christ is the whole reality, bound in a union of love. See, this is what we're giving birth to. We're giving birth to this love between heaven and earth, between the spiritual and the material, between the oneness and the multiplicity, between us and that infinite out there and that infinite expressing all around us. That's what the Christ consciousness is this infinite love. She says, we cannot know the mystery of Christ as a doctrine or an idea. It is the root reality of all existence. Ernest Holmes would say, we can't just know about a principle, we only can apply it. We don't really know it until we live it. And she's saying the same thing. We don't know Christ as just an idea. It's the root reality of all existence. It's what we really are. Hence, we must travel inward, like Joseph did to Bethlehem, into the interior depth of the soul where the field of divine love is expressed in the thisness of our own particular life. You and I are the field of infinite love, expressing in our unique place. Each of us is a little word of the Word of God, a mini incarnation of divine love. The journey inward requires surrender to this mystery in our lives, and this means letting go of our control buttons. I should probably read that sentence again just for myself. You can just listen in. It means letting go of our control buttons. It means dying to the untethered selves that occupy us daily. It means embracing the sufferings of our lives, from the little sufferings to the big ones. It means allowing God's grace to heal us, hold us, and empower us for life. It means entering into darkness, the unknowns of our lives, and learning to trust the darkness. For the tenderness of divine love is already there. It means being willing to surrender all that we have for all that we can become in God's love. And finally, it means to let God's love heal us of the opposing tensions within us. Are you willing to say yes to being a Christ, to being a divine love expression? We have an affirmation. It should be up on the screen there. Say this with me. I am willing to be a mother of God. I am willing to birth the spirit of love through me. So I am.